FC Barcelona and FC Copenhagen have agreed on a €2 million fee plus 500k in add-ons and a 15% sell-on for the 19-year-old winger Roony Bardghji. And the only thing that is left is the medicals, which will be placed on early July. We have seen Spurs get pushed. Porto, they matched the money, but the player shut them all down. He's always dreamed of joining FC Barcelona and literally told Tottenham, thank you, but no thank you, before he did greenlight the move to FC Barcelona. Now, one of the big questions is, how does a team like Barcelona even buy a player like him? I know that many of you guys are here that are not Barcelona fans that are claiming, I thought that Barcelona were broke, I thought that Barcelona had no money. Listen, bro, I have told you guys time and time again that the reason why Barcelona have been struggling so much in the past 2 to 3 years is because of the restrictions and limitations that La Liga placed upon us. And now we sit here today with Barcelona signing Joan Garcia, Nico Williams, and now signing another player that only costs €2.5 million. Of course, Barcelona can get this done. We also have to keep in mind that Barcelona want to sign the player and register him after this month is over and do this in July because it's going to affect next season's accounts. If they try to do that today, it would affect this summer's accounts. But doing it in July, Barcelona will have no problem signing even more players after Roony Bardghji. And I think that this is a phenomenal signing, to sign him for only €2.5 million, knowing that he's going to be on rookie wages. It's amazing because we're talking about a player who is considered as one of the best young talents in the world, and his ceiling is Champions League level. We have already seen him perform against Manchester United, and this is a player that does show up. Barcelona do not lose in this situation. It's low risk with high reward, and with a 15% on clause, Joan Laporta is basically telling Copenhagen, if the kid explodes, we both cash in. If he does not do well, and this is a guy that just becomes underwhelming, he cannot really do anything and compete against Lamine Yamal or Tony Fernandes, Barcelona's loss is capped at less than a month of Lewandowski's gross salary. To put that into perspective, it's a very low risk move, and this is for sure one of the calls that Deco is making for this summer. This is a player that Deco strictly does want. I don't know if you guys want to trust Deco right now, right? Because I think that everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has seen how Deco wanted Vitor Roque and it did not end up working out. This was his bet. Could this finally be it for Deco? I'm going to place my faith on Deco and just say that I think that he knows what he's doing. This is a low cost operation, a player who can easily become a star in about 2 years. So either way, I think that Deco does win here, only because this transfer is just so cheap. And I believe that overall, Deco is here to really make sure that Barcelona stays competitive financially and sportingly. As a sporting director, one of the worst ways to set your club back is to tell that this club should sign this player for 30 to 35 to 40 million euros, and he does not end up working out. That is how you set the club back. Deco is making the smart choice here and keeping Barcelona competitive in all levels. Now, we have already spoken about Roony Bardghji in a previous video. You guys can go check that out. I'm just going to give you guys a brief introduction on who he is. I believe that he had humble beginnings, right? This is a player who rose into stardom very early in his career. At 17 years old, 11 months and 24 days, he became the youngest player ever to score a Champions League winner against Manchester United, slicing a left-footed rocket past Onana on the 87th minute. But then ever since that moment, a few months or few weeks later, which was around last May 2024, he torn his ACL, which wiped him out for the next 9 months. And he returned just 2 months ago or 3 months ago on March 31st, 2025, and went up against Rangers. And there was a huge standing ovation from the crowd. And the reason why Barcelona still believe in him today is because they just think that he could explode. They think that under the correct medical guidance, he can really revive his career. Deco was so sure on this because a month later, after he came back from his ACL injury, around April, he did fly to Madrid to meet with the agent to double check on the medical files, how he's doing mentally, and whatever did happen on that night, Deco did seem convinced. And so we'll see how he does perform. For the record, I don't know if you guys know, but this is a player who plays on the right wing position, meaning that he's gonna come in here, bounce between Barça Athletic and the first team, and try to compete for the position of Lamine Yamal or Tony Fernandes. And that's going to be very interesting to see how that does play out. Or who knows? What if Hansi Flick has different plans for him and he says, I want you to play on the left wing and compete against Nico Williams? It's the same situation to how we had Pedro from Pep Guardiola's 2011 squad, where he was left-footed, but sometimes he was placed on the right wing position, sometimes on the left wing position. All in all, he gave the competitiveness up top. So let me know in the comment sections down below, what do you think about this transfer of Roony Bardghji? In the next conversation, I now want to speak about Ansu Fati, since we are talking about the attack and we are talking about how do we reinforce our front lines. But one of the players that is for sure going to be leaving and make space for a player like Roony Bardghji, it is going to be Ansu Fati, and he is going to be going to Monaco. I do think that many Barcelona fans are watching Ansu Fati's next move with a lot of hope, and I would say also with a little bit of anxiety, because we just don't know what's going to happen to the player. And I'm not talking about within the next 3 or 4 months. We know that everything's on track for him to go to Monaco. We just don't know if Ansu Fati is ever going to recover to his best level. And as of now, going back to the Monaco move, it is expected that Monaco is going to be taking care of like 40 to 45% of his salary, not the full salary. But in the end, it does lead towards a low risk loan for both clubs, for both FC Barcelona and Monaco. Ansu Fati's career arc has flipped from a teenage sensation to a player that is known as torn meniscus, right? Everybody just says, okay, that's Ansu Fati. Oh yeah, his torn meniscus. That is the reason why Ansu Fati is the player that he is today. But 3 to 4 years ago, Ansu Fati was on top of the world. But ever since that torn meniscus in November 2020, nothing has ever been the same. He reoccurred hamstring issues in the 2021-2022 season and further set back his development. Then we went on to the 2023-2024 loan to Brighton, which never really clicked. It was a really bad move. De Zerbi even left him out on multiple match days and citing poor physical condition. And I do think the reason why it did not end up working out for Ansu Fati in that year with Brighton was because we're talking about Ansu Fati trying to play in the Premier League, and Ansu Fati is nowhere near the speed that he used to be at, which is why I do think that him going to a team like Monaco in the French league, by contrast, offers a softer landing. There is fewer fixtures, warmer climate, the pressure is not at a all-time high compared to like playing in the Premier League, and I believe that this is a club that is made to nurture young attackers. Kylian Mbappe exploded at the club. Golovin also exploded, rebuilt himself after going through injury hell. So I do think, right, and this is going to be the big question, can a change of scenery finally let La Masia's prodigy trust his body again and recapture the audacity that once made Messi point at him as Barcelona's future? Tactically, Monaco play Europe's most vertical 3-4-2-1. Adi Hütter uses wingbacks to pin defenses, then unleashes the two shadow strikers from up top to attack half spaces. Fati's best moments at Barcelona came from cutting inside from the left, thriving on quick give-and-go movements. And I believe that that is something that the coach from Monaco is going to really want to see in his system. He's going to want a player like Ansu. Maybe this could finally be it. Maybe this is it, right? Like this move to Monaco could really rebuild Ansu, and then when he finally finishes that season in the summer of 2026, maybe possibly we can say that Ansu Fati is back. Super agent Jorge Mendes has moved Fati like multiple times within the past 3 seasons. First to Brighton in 2023, he made him stay at Barcelona from the last season, and now he is brokering talks with Monaco just to make sure that he never goes to the Premier League again. I think what Jorge Mendes has been trying to do was just a lot of trial and error. It's the same thing that went on with another client that he had, like Trincao. If you really think about it, he thought about a loan move to Wolves, and then he moved him to Sporting, and then he finally clicked. With Joao Felix, the same thing. Joao Felix, a loan move from Atletico Madrid to FC Barcelona, and then slowly started to find his footing at Chelsea, where he played 20 matches, scored 7 goals and provided 2 assists, but then eventually went to AC Milan, and now he's readjusting himself again, trying to find his form. So there are currently multiple reasons on why this operation of Ansu Fati to Monaco can work in many ways. Like I have said, Monaco have a great track record on nurturing talent. Jorge Mendes knows how to move players after multiple trial and errors. Now we can just pray, right? Pray that Ansu Fati, by the time he gets to Monaco, he has a good season. He makes it happen and he comes back maybe potentially scoring 10 goals and providing 14 assists. Something crazy like that. Because let me tell you, with Ansu Fati continuing with us for the next season, he's going to be buried. I'm talking about like really buried. Because with Nico Williams now coming into the team, Rafinha also being there, Lamine Yamal, they're just at a top level. They're in a completely different world compared to where Ansu Fati is at right now. And I do think that, going back to Monaco, they have quietly became Europe's go-to lab for resurrecting stalled attackers. I really do call this the Ben Yedder blueprint. Ben Yedder arrived in 2019, hit 20 league goals in 3 of his first 4 seasons, and re-entered the France setup. We look at Golovin, who overcame chronic ankle issues to become Ligue 1's most used midfielder in 2024. Even Bernardo Silva, Thomas Lemmer, Anthony Martial used this move at Monaco to really revive themselves. The reason why Manchester City bought Bernardo Silva back in 2017 is because in that 2016-2017 season with Monaco, 58 matches, 11 goals and 10 assists. That's really good. That is what brought him to City in the 2017-2018 season. Thomas Lemmer, right? He was at Kane back in the 2014-2015 season. 26 matches played, 1 goal, 4 assists. But then Monaco came in to bring him in the 2015-2016 season. They started to rebuild him. And then in the 2016-2017 season, 55 matches, 14 goals, and 14 assists. That is what made, right, Atletico Madrid want to get the player. Because 2 years later, in the 2018-2019 season, they brought him in. And then, of course, Anthony Martial, where he had 3 full first-team seasons with Monaco before he eventually went to Manchester United in 2015, where he had a great first season. Now, obviously, when you look at the stories between Lemmer, Bernardo Silva, Martial, and so forth, Silva was the most promising one, with Lemmer and Martial under-delivering with their next clubs. But there is good cases like Ben Yedder and Bernardo Silva. The same thing could go on with Ansu Fati. He will be able to use Monaco as a great foundation, a great way to set himself up and bring success and momentum once he is finished after 1 season with Monaco. And maybe we ask, is he ready for FC Barcelona? Barcelona. So all in all, those are going to be my 5 total points. Point number 1, he's going to be getting minutes in a system that actually fits. Like I've said, he'll be buried at Barcelona with Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. No chance. He would be taking on the shadow striker role at Monaco. Point number 2, it's a calmer league where it is less demanding. Point number 3, low pressure, not a lot of expectations compared to how it was at Brighton. Monaco is built to showcase young talents for resale. Point number 4, win-win economics. Barcelona offloads a chunk of the 12 million euros gross per season wages, which could really help Barcelona's wage bill going into this summer transfer window. Trust me, Monaco are going to want to do this because if they're only going to be paying like 40 to 45% of the wages, it's a cheap gamble for them, because if Fati explodes, they get a top tier winger below market cost. If he stalls, they can just walk away, give the player back to FC Barcelona, and hopefully at that time we can sell Ansu Fati at a greater value. And number 5, it is the playbook to reignite youngsters' careers. And history does tell us that Monaco do a really good job. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.